Hey there, thanks for clicking. My name is Stephanie and I am an alcoholic in recovery. It has been 4.5 years since I've tasted alcohol, and it's because of the magical program of Alcoholics Anonymous that I've been able to stay off of alcohol. The 12 steps are a format of living that I was not taught as a neglected child, and because I practice these steps every day, I'm able to stay sober and therefore alive. Now, I will always be an alcoholic. I know myself. As soon as I taste that delicious alcohol, it gets a hold of my nervous system, and the obsession is unleashed upon my mind, body, and soul. It becomes a spiritual journey for me. And so, since I've been off of alcohol for so long, I've had to cultivate a different spiritual journey. And the past couple of days have been extra difficult because that's what life does, right? But I've been able to maintain my sanity and my sobriety from alcohol and my maintaining of healthy relationships because I'm working this program. Now, we will pick up at the big book where we left off because this is a big book study. But before we do that, I do want to read to you the 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous per the original format. This will be the short form, but just to give people an idea of what this program was founded upon so that you can understand a little bit more background as we continue to read forward. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on AA unity. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as they may express themselves in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. Each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And lastly, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. And what that really means is you have to hold anonymity true for your friends, for these people in this program, so that their stories can stay secrets with you, because that's just what we agree upon as we enter the AA program. I'm choosing to be public with my face in my AA membership. That is my choice, but I never share any stories or divulge the identity of people that I've been in the program with. I've been in the program with celebrities I'd love to share with you, but nope, that's AA and that's the anonymity, and that's part of what makes it magic. Now we'll jump right into that big book study momentarily, right after this pause for a water drink beverage update. Picking up in the big book where we left off from last time, we're at the top of page 65 and how it works. And we are going on to explain step 4, which is also called your grudge list, which is all the things you're resentful for and at. And here on page 65, I will read what the authors have written as their examples of their grudge list. So, I'm resentful at Mr. Brown. The cause is his attention to my wife. He told my wife of my mistress. Brown may get my job at the office. It affects my sex relations, my self-esteem through fear, sex relations and self-esteem and security, personal relationships. And they're also resentful at Mrs. Jones because she's a nut. She snubbed me. She committed her husband for drinking, and he was my friend. She's a gossip. Affects his self-esteem, his personal relationships. His employer, he's resentful at his employer because they are unreasonable, unjust, overbearing. They threaten to fire me for drinking and padding my expense account. And how does it affect him? His self-esteem. He's resentful at his wife because she misunderstands and nags, likes Brown, wants the house put in her name, and it affects his pride, his personal, sex relations, and security. We went back through our lives. Nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty. When we were finished, we considered it carefully. The first thing apparent was that this world and its people were often quite wrong. To conclude that others were wrong was as far as most of us ever got. The usual outcome was that people continued to wrong us and we stayed sore. Sometimes it was remorse, and then we were sore at ourselves. But the more we fought and tried to have our own way, the worse matters got. As in war, the victor only seemed to win. Our moments of triumph were short-lived. It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads only to futility and unhappiness. To the precise extent that we permit these, do we squander the hours that might have been worthwhile. Let me read that again because it's quite profound. It is plain that a life which includes deep resentment leads only to futility and unhappiness. To the precise extent that we permit these, do we squander the hours that might have been worthwhile. But with the alcoholic whose hope is the maintenance and growth of a spiritual experience, this business of resentment is infinitely grave. We found that it is fatal, for when harboring such feelings, we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the spirit. The insanity of alcohol returns and we drink again, and with us to drink is to die. I will pause there because it is so very true. Someone commented on my video just recently that if I had 4.5 years off of alcohol, then I'm no longer an alcoholic. And I have to let you know that is the alcoholism speaking. Of course, I will always be an alcoholic no matter how many years or days it's been since my alcohol consumption. Because as soon as that stuff hits my lips, I'm obsessed. I want more. I love the way it makes me feel. That's the problem. The ethanol, the poison, is too delicious for me. And if you think that you're not an alcoholic, then you go ahead and try if you need more proof. I'm not here to tell you you are one. Yeah. The insanity shuts off the sunlight of the spirit. I totally agree with that. If we were to live, we had to be free of anger. The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. They may be the dubious luxury of normal men, but for the alcoholics, these things are poison. We turned back to the list, for it held the key to our future. We were prepared to look at that grudge list from an entirely different angle. We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. In that state, the wrongdoing of others, fancied or real, had power to actually kill. How could we escape? Pause. What they're talking about is looking back at that grudge list and seeing all of the causes of the pain and resentment that the person has. They're realizing that they're giving the power of their life and their health and happiness over to the people on their grudge list, the people that they resent, the people that they don't want to have control of their life. And that is the power of looking at our resentments for what they are and understanding them so that they no longer rule us. Writing this down is key. Resentments drive us to drink. They drive us to use whatever substance or addiction to relieve that feeling. We're just trying to feel different. Back to the text. We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. This was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. Though we did not like their symptoms and the way these disturbed us, they, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked our higher power to help us show them some tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, "This is a sick person. How can I be helpful to them? God save me from being angry. Thy will be done." Pause. The thing is, I don't call upon God. I call upon my higher power, which is basically the universe, Mother Nature. I just talk to myself. I say self, because I know that higher power just really lives inside of me. It is my life force. It is the love and the spirituality. And I know people will disagree with that, but my higher power is living inside of me. And so when I decide to take perspective and look at someone who's freaking out, unleashing their terror upon me, yelling at me, angry at me, venomous words, I have to step back and look at them like a sick friend with compassion. What is happening to this person? Not what is wrong with you, but what happened to you? And this is an easy thing to practice if you've ever been a parent. Because when you see a small child having a temper tantrum over some silly little spilled milk, you're able to have true perspective because you're an adult and you've been through this, and spilled milk ain't shit, right? But as alcoholics in our drinking, we have a complete victimhood mentality where we believe the world is happening to us. This is happening to us. Therefore, we are allowed to drink to relieve that because we are victims. We deserve this release of alcohol consumption, right? And this is just a psychological, a psyop game that the alcoholism lives and plays with you, because the alcoholism is a living, breathing organism. It is a psyop, and it lives inside of the bottle. And as soon as it touches your body, your constitution, you know who you are. It starts working on your psyche to convince you that this is okay and this is a good idea and this isn't good. You deserve it, right? So we have to look at the people who are seemingly attacking us or taking out their anger on us as a person who is in need. Doesn't mean we can always meet their needs, but it is not a person who is attacking us. That is very selfish. Most people aren't thinking about you. We avoid retaliation or argument. We wouldn't treat sick people that way. If we do, we destroy our chance of being helpful. We cannot be helpful to all people, but at least our higher power will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one. Referring to our grudge list again, putting out of our minds the wrongs others had done, we resolutely looked for our own mistakes. Where had we been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, or frightened? Though a situation had not been entirely our fault, we tried to disregard the other person involved entirely. Where were we to blame? The inventory was ours, not the other man's. When we saw our faults, we listed them. We placed them before us in black and white. We admitted our wrongs honestly, and we were willing to set these matters straight. So that is step 4 and 5 that they've just explained to you. You write your grudge list. You write what is causing that resentment and where it's coming from, the cause, what that looks like, what does it affect, how does it make you feel, and then what is your solution? Sometimes the solution is stop drinking at the problem. Sometimes the solution is ask for help. Sometimes the solution is understand that there is no solution, so stop trying to solve it. When we're looking at our part in our obstacles in our life and our conflicts, we now are seeing the boundary and the clear path towards solution. An obstacle is not in the way. An obstacle is the way. An obstacle shows you which way cannot be, so then clearly showing you a little bit more of what can. Glass half full, glass half empty. And because alcoholism is a nervous system depressant, it will bring you back down to glass half empty. People say, well, if you don't eat bread for a year and then you start eating bread again, are you a breadaholic? That argument is silly because none of the foods we eat are psychotropic. Alcohol is a nervous system depressant. It has psychoactive effects, which is what we get addicted to. That feeling, that different feeling, and it's physically addictive. If you expose any mammal to alcohol over long periods of time, they will become physically dependent. It's a fact, meaning if you remove it from their system abruptly, they can have a seizure and die. So stop blaming yourself for being addicted to something that the society told you was a great idea, because that isn't your fault. You were told a lie your entire life, and this world is still lying to you. They're lying to you about how cool it is, how pretty it is, how neat you look, how fun you are. Alcohol is poison, and it's for profit only. And the sicker you are, and the fatter you are, and the uglier you are, the more you self-hate, the more you will buy. The more you will purchase, and you will feed the consumer monster, the capitalist monster. So in this step 4 and 5, we look inward. What is the cause of my resentment? And how can I be in the solution? What is my part in the solution? So your grudge list is something that you're going to want to write down. They say right here in black and white that you need to write it down. Once we can visualize our problems, we can start understanding how to categorize them and therefore find a solution. Notice that the word fear is bracketed alongside the difficulties with Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, the employer, and the wife. This short word somehow touches about every aspect of our lives. It was an evil and corroding thread. That fabric of our existence shot through with it. It set in motion trains of circumstances which brought us misfortune and we felt we didn't deserve. But did not we ourselves set the ball rolling? Sometimes we think fear ought to be classed with stealing. It seems to cause more trouble. We reviewed our fears thoroughly. We put them on paper. Even though we had no resentment in connection with them, we asked ourselves why we had them. Wasn't it because self-reliance failed us? Self-reliance was good as far as it went, but it didn't go far enough. Some of us once had great self-confidence, but it didn't fully solve the fear problem or any other. When it made us cocky, it was worse. Perhaps there is a better way. We think so. For we are now on a different basis, the basis of trusting and relying upon our higher power. We trust infinite higher power rather than our infinite selves. We are in the world to play the role that our higher power assigns, just to the extent that we do as we think they would have us and humbly rely upon them. Does our higher power enable us to match calamity with serenity? We never apologize to anyone for depending on our Creator. We can laugh at those who think spirituality is the way of weakness. Paradoxically, it is the way of strength. The verdict of the ages is that faith means courage. All people of faith have courage. They trust their higher power. We never apologize for higher power. Instead, we let them demonstrate through us what they can do. We ask them to remove our fear and direct attention to what they would have us be. At once, we commence to outgrow fear. So let's pause there on the bottom of page 68 to talk about fear. Now, my sponsor never paused through this part to make a fear list. We were doing all kinds of things, and I will go through the 12 steps again with maybe another sponsor another time. But I will add this to my repertoire right now with you. Along with my grudge list, I do want my fear list because my fear list is my path to freedom. If I write down all the things that I fear and I face them head on, prepared, calm, cool, collected, alcohol free, I know that I can overcome them. I've literally been living this lately. I have had so much triggering trauma from our presidential situation, this country run by people who treat children the way my father treated me growing up, and then the way my abuser treated me in January of 2020. There are so many triggers. Me living in Hollywood, having to drive through Beverly Hills near the places that I used to work with this person. It took everything I had to get myself up and out the door to this new job to be of service, because it's important to me to be of service. I have to be of service because that's what keeps me going. And working in the dental field helps me help people smile. And this channel is my 12th step, to carry the message to the person who's still suffering, the alcoholic who's still in need. And if that is you, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I am so proud of you. I could cry. I'm so happy that you're here whenever you are finding this video. This channel, Better Than Drinking, is an online space to kill time and save our own lives. Because it's easy to jump off a bridge. It's easy to pick up a firearm and put it to your temple, but it is not easy to stay and work through the difficult stuff for the better good of ourselves and the ones who love us. I'm proud of you for being here, no matter if you drank today or not. Just try for the next 5 minutes to not drink. I think we will leave it at that. And with that, I will leave the acceptance passage for you to contemplate. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens in this universe by mistake. Until I could accept my alcoholism, I could not stay sober. And unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and in my attitudes. Perspective shift. How can I be of service? How can I be of solution? And how can I feel better today? Reach out if you need a friend. My email address is in the description of this episode. So until next time, keep smiling, no drinking alcohol. Namaste.